Hello Tigers, I'm Haley White and welcome to the TMNtv newscast for Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. The Kansas City area got good news from the government last week when the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced it would be moving 2 research units and hundreds of jobs to the city. The units and jobs would be relocated from the Washington, D.C. area. They deal with food nutrition, safety, and conservation, as well as farm economy and global trade, according to the Topeka Capital Journal. USDA said a move to the KC area would help save nearly $300 million during a 15-year period. It is also estimated approximately 5,000 USDA employees and contractors work in the KC area now. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly said the exact location of the new headquarters would be announced in July. Kansas and Missouri submitted a joint proposal to the USDA during the bidding process. The other 2 states were finalists were Indiana and North Carolina. There were 136 original proposals from 35 states for the new location. A Nebraska woman has been sentenced to 49 months in prison for an accident that killed 3 Sabetha family members in 2017. Maria Perez Marquez, 49, of Omaha, Nebraska, was driving an SUV south near Holton when she was passing another vehicle and hit another vehicle head-on. The crash killed the driver of the other vehicle, Carmen Ukiel of Sabetha, and her daughter and brother-in-law. Another passenger in the vehicle, the driver's husband, was injured but survived at the time. He died last month. The crash occurred as the family was driving home after Sabetha had won the Class 3A state football championship game earlier that day in 2017. Perez Marquez and her passenger were injured as well. Perez Marquez was sentenced to 1 year in prison for each count of 3 misdemeanor counts of vehicular homicide and 13 months of felony of aggravated battery. She pleaded no contest in April as part of a plea agreement. The 109th District race in the Kansas House of Representatives could have heavy ties to Fort Hays State University, but it all depends on what a U.S. representative decides to do. The 109th State District is represented by Bunker Hill Republican Troy Waymaster, who attended FHSU. But Waymaster has hinted he might seek the nomination of the Big First District in the U.S. House of Representatives if Republican Roger Marshall decides to jump into the race for Pat Roberts' Senate seat. Roberts has said he will retire from the U.S. Senate after this year. If Marshall makes a run at the Senate seat and Waymaster throws his name into the ring for the House seat, Democrat Trey Joy said he likely would run for the 109th state seat. Joy is an FHSU grad who is at 19 years old, became the youngest mayor in 2009. He held down the position as Smith Center's leader until 2014. The 30-year-old battled Hodgkin lymphoma and underwent chemotherapy. He had a stem cell transplant after a relapse, but told the Hutchinson News he's doing well now. Joy is currently an accountant in Lenexa and his family farms in Smith Center. The battle of funding the state's public schools will take a hiatus after the Kansas Supreme Court on Friday ruled the legislature's funding plan was suitable. The battle has been ongoing for numerous years in the state, and a unanimous ruling Friday by the court said an additional $90 million of appropriations was adequate. The court also stated it will retain jurisdictions over the case to ensure implementation of the funding, according to the Topeka Capital Journal. The additional $90 million is intended to cover school districts' inflationary costs and will be on top of an additional $525 million legislatures agreed through 5 years. Representatives for Schools for Fair Funding, which filed the lawsuit for the school districts of Hutchinson, Wichita, Dodge City, and Kansas City, said the additional funding still wasn't enough. Many opponents of the extra money worry it will cause the state to raise taxes or drastically slash spending. One of the state's largest concert events will have a new location this year. Country Stampede, which begins Thursday and ends Saturday, will take place in Topeka this year due to flooding in the Manhattan area. The 3-day event will take place at Heartland Park this weekend and feature country acts on the main stage such as Jake Owens, Old Dominion, and Jason Aldean. Tickets are still available for the event and can be purchased by going to countrystampede.com. In international news, Iran threatened to accelerate its nuclear program Monday in violation of a 2015 nuclear agreement. The Trump administration has imposed harsh sanctions on Iran as the country's economy has declined. Until recently, Iran has upheld its end of the bargain, freezing much of its nuclear activity in return for relief from harsh economic sanctions. Last month, the country's president announced Tehran would edge away from the restrictions. According to the New York Times, a core objective of the 2015 nuclear deal was to keep Iran at least 1 year from developing enough material to construct a bomb. The timeline could run out should Iran follow through with its recent threats to American sanctions that Iran says are a deal breaker. The nuclear agreement limits Iran's nuclear program in exchange for lifting international sanctions on Tehran. Iran is now warning will soon exceed 300-kilogram limit, as well as follow through with its threat to enrich uranium to higher levels. President Donald Trump pledged to begin deporting millions of undocumented immigrants who have entered the United States illegally. In a Twitter post, the president wrote, "Next week, ICE will begin the process of removing the millions of illegal aliens who have found their way into the United States. They will be removed as fast as they came in." He continued by saying, "Mexico, using their strong immigration laws, is doing a very good job of stopping people, long before they get in our southern border. Guatemala is getting ready to sign a Safe Third agreement. The only ones who won't do anything are the Democrats in Congress. They must vote to get rid of the loopholes and fix asylum. If so, border crisis will end quickly." The tweet was a step away from ICE's normal practice of keeping enforcement operations closely held until they've been executed. They came one day before a planned rally in Orlando to kick off Trump's re-election campaign. The president's comments appear to elaborate on a comment from earlier this month by newly installed acting ICE Director Mark Morgan that ICE will intensify enforcement against migrants already living in the U.S. According to Politico, the Trump administration has petitioned Congress in recent weeks for more than $300 million to expand ICE detention bed capacity as part of the broader $4.5 billion supplemental funding request to deal with the influx of migrants at the border. When we return from this short break, we will break down what's happening in the sports world.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus, so presidential announcements, student government association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hays community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is a land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews, including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple of years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at.
This is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.
As the spring semester has come and gone, Fort Hays Athletics wrapped up the 2019 season with stellar performances not only in the sport, but in the classroom as well. 74 Tigers landed a spot on the MIAA Academic Honor Roll for the season, where all 7 spring sports were represented. The Scholar Athlete Award, which is received by an individual with a GPA of 3.5 or higher, was obtained by Sarah Breckbill and Taryn Caldwell of Tiger Softball, Lauren Lindell of Women's Tennis, and Leighton Worth of FHSU Men's Track and Field. An Academic Excellence Award was given to Men's Track and Field's Mark Faber for his perfect 4.0 GPA. In addition to the excellent performances of athletes during the spring semester, FHSU also obtained 85 spots on the MIAA Academic Honor Roll for newcomers for the 2018-19 season. The list included freshmen and transfers, where all 16 of Fort Hays sports were represented. Individuals earning the Scholar Athlete Award included Rogelio Lopez and Moritz Walther of men's soccer, Bree Becker from volleyball, and Kaylee Perkins from women's soccer. Perkins was also the only newcomer to earn both Scholar Athlete and Academic Excellence Awards for FHSU. Other Tigers to obtain a perfect GPA and also earn the Excellence Award were Maha Persa from women's soccer, women's cross-country athletes Carson Pierce and Abigail Stewart, Abby Burton and Cheyenne Nicholson from women's track and field, Seth Boxberger and Ryan Stanley from men's track and field, Kayla Vidstum from volleyball, Alex Bevis from men's soccer, and women's basketball Sydney Bregman. With a 3-peat in mind, FHSU football looks to play 5 games on Lewis Field during the 2019 and 20 season. The MIAA defending champs will kick off the regular season with its first home game set for Thursday, September 12th against Missouri Western for the Eagle Communications Kickoff Classic. For ticket information on the upcoming season, visit FHSUathletics.com. Gary Woodland, a Topeka native, earned his first major title of his career after capturing the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach on Sunday. The Kansan is reaping many benefits after the weekend's victory. Aside from the $2.5 million prize, Woodland vaulted from the number 25 to number 12 in the official World Golf Rankings. He has also jumped from number 12 to number 7 in the President's Cup standings after his win. Being a U.S. Open champion also awarded Woodland 600 PGA Tour FedEx Cup points, a 10-year exemption to the U.S. Open, a 5-year exemption on the PGA Tour, and a 5-year exemption into the Masters, British Open, and PGA Championship. Things are looking up for the Kansas City Royals as the team captured its 3rd straight road win after excellent performances from Whit Merrifield and Homer Bailey. Merrifield smashed a pair of home runs as Bailey threw over 7 scoreless innings to seal the 9-0 win over the Seattle Mariners at the T-Mobile Park on Monday. The Royals will have a chance to sweep the 3-game set this evening as the matchup is slated for 5:40 p.m. Sporting Kansas City defender Graham Susie has been named the MLS All-Star for the 3rd consecutive year of 7 selections overall, which is the most of any MLS player since 2012. Susie has 2 assists in the season while starting 16 of 17 appearances in the competitions. The MLS All-Star Game will be played in Susie's hometown of Orlando, Florida on July 31st against the 10-time Spanish champions, Atletico Madrid. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of TMNtv. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!
I think there's a perception out there that web and mobile application development is this field where you sit behind a computer all day and code. And that's not it at all, right? And there's even a perception out there that geek is bad. But I think students should embrace their inner geek. We don't code all day. We look at issues, we look at problems, and try to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together to build things.
I was able to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, just kind of the whole 9 yards with that. So I really enjoyed the full program that they offered here.
Anything that you're interested in, the field of web and mobile application development, there's a value to. There's nothing like what we have in the informatics department. If you choose to take everything in the buffet that we offer, you'll be very well prepared for any type of job opportunity that's out there.